So my mom's house, I had realized that it's like a major altar, and that this whole time it was communicating to me. And so I
Okay.
used to feel like I was going crazy in this house. And then um as I started, she likes to collect local stuff.
This
And
your mom, right? Okay, I'm
yeah,
trying
my mom.
to make sure I'm on the same page.
Yeah, my mom, she is Caucasian. And
She said your
so
mom though, ain't she?
yeah,
Okay. That
yeah.
ain't gonna stop her from being your mom, is it?
No.
Okay, so we don't even have to add that into the conversation because we're in a no racist zone over here.
Okay. Okay. So basically, she likes to collect local stuff like books, art, and there's just a lot of she likes to collect a lot of valuables from like just different generations.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of like my grandma's paintings and stuff, and there's murals on the walls, and there's a lot of symbolism within the house. And so I I started realizing that the house was communicating to me whenever I was trying to go to like different elders in the family and asking about like my dad's side, just to try to figure out more about my bloodline. And nobody knew anything. So I was like, okay. And then when I realized that her house was communicating to me by me just being curious and looking at some of the books that she had in the house, I started looking up like different last names. And I I came to find out that this land that she lives on, like it was in the family before they moved here. And I didn't know how that had happened because like my mom, she didn't know, but she's really deep into like genealogy. And she thought I was lying. I'm like, no, ma,
Was it
apparently
the
our
land? Was the land in the family from your mother's side or father's side?
mother.
Okay, keep going.
So meanwhile, previous well, before I had even came into all of this information, I hadn't watched that many of your videos.
Hmm.
And so, but I had always heard some from when my fiance was listening to your videos. So like every time he was listening to you, I was like, I really don't know what he's talking about. And um but then I started digging within like Family Search, and all these family books started coming up, and I started being called to study the land, like as far as just locally. I started realizing that whenever I was traveling the land, I was always being called to look at like the historical landmark signs and Googling like last names and just reading up on that information. And then I would always put the last names into Family Search to see if they connected to my tree. And
Hmm.
like all these major plantations, they started connecting to my trees. And I was just like, I don't think I was ready for this.
Hey, can I ask you a question? How far
Yeah.
back in your bloodline do your mother line go over here? The oldest
Um,
person you remember, or the oldest, the furthest back you got an ancestor that you know was on the land that you own. How far back do they go? What years does they on the scene?
ooh. Um, I'm early like
Your mama
1700s.
passing.
She what?
She passing.
She's passing?
She's passing. She ain't white. She ain't Caucasian. She passing.
What does that mean?
Pale faces
I'm,
didn't come in here to get land until the 1800s. You in the 1700s. She passed. She ain't who she thinks she is.
she's really stuck on ancestry most of her days.
If you go
Um,
back, if she thinks she's European and she go back to the 1700s, she's passing for white. She ain't pale face. She's passing. She might not even be aware.
I don't think she would be aware.
But when that land from the 1700s is tied to the bloodline, one, when it's time to get everything back, she got to find her way back to the homeland
Hmm.
where her tribe from. This how you end back up on the land that she used to own, your bloodline used to own. She's
Hmm.
passing. She's not what she looked like. One drop of blood.
That would make a lot of sense. She's very unaware though. Um,
Yeah, most
I.
of them are. A lot of the celebrity offspring don't know they mulattoes.
Hmm.
Octroons, quadroons, mestizos, all those admixture terms for having some original blood, but it's mixed in with some outsider blood. And then they move from the south to the north in order to integrate into what we call white America.
Hmm.
And they passed so that they didn't have to go through the struggles of the oppression of the darker skins who was fighting this contra war. Everybody wanted to get away from us while we was fighting this war because didn't nobody want to harm or interfere. So they tried to keep us isolated with ourselves to educate ourselves out of the condition.
Hmm. That's interesting.
All you got to do is watch your family dance.
Oh, she can't dance.
She might not be able to, but what about your cousins?
No.
You probably hadn't paid no attention.
Um,
And I'm gonna tell you something else. The booty don't lie.
no booty. No booty. They even call it by the last name. They say no booty.
Yeah. But it's a lot of us that integrated into what we call today white society to escape the oppression of what we call white supremacy,
Hmm.
where they was preferencing, they was using the skin color to block us out of all of the institutions. This is how we had to fight to be a doctor. We got to fight to be a lawyer. We got to fight to be a banker. We got to fight to be an accountant. We got to fight to be a pharmacist. Why are we doing all this damn fighting?
Hmm.
Right? Just to be a regular person doing a job that we feel like we love. Most of these people that you think is Caucasian, especially in the celebrity inverted circle, a lot of them was passing. This is what the whole goal of the Oscars was. Oscar was a brother. Everybody keeps saying, well, why is Oscar a black man, but they don't want to give a black man the Oscar? They only want to get a black man passing for white the Oscar if he can pull off the role, and you never figure out that the only reason why he had all that talent because he was passing.
So what you're saying to me, I'm gonna react just so I can make sure that I'm understanding what you're saying. You're saying that when you're saying passing, you're saying that maybe, or not even maybe, you're saying that.
They look Caucasian, but they not Caucasian. They got some blood that's from darkies. Like
So is that why she ended up having me? I'm the only one.
could be. She probably had you because she needed melanated hair.
I mean, that would make sense. I'm the only one.
Are you the oldest?
I am not the oldest, but I'm not the youngest.
In order of number, which position do you fall?
On her side,
Are your siblings from your mother first?
okay, so from my mom, I have a younger sister, then there's me, and then I have a older brother and an older sister.
So from your mom, you fall in the third position.
Hmm.
Where do you fall on the father's side?
I have a baby brother, another smaller brother, then there's me, and then I have well, no, yeah, and then there's me, and then there's I have a sister that was apparently in the womb at the same time, so we're like very, very like almost not even a year apart, and then I have an older brother.
Okay, so on your father's side, you also take the third position, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's 33. So Masonic Master key number.
Mm-hmm.
So you can three on the left, three on the right, six in the middle. It's
Mm.
all coded.
Yeah.
The six in the middle is the G in the middle of the compass in the square. In reference to the female, she is the heir. You are heir on your mother and your fatherland.
Ooh.
That's why you fell in the third position on both in order for you to get the master knock 33 off
Mm-hmm.
both sides, three off left and three off the right. That's to keep you bumped straight up the middle.
Yeah, her house started talking to me, and I start like even all the way down to like the paintings on the walls. I was like, "Ma, you ever, just asking questions like, Ma, you ever, whose house this is?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, so like all this stuff, like you're so deep into like the genealogy, but like I was the only one being guided down a certain line that was tied to this house and this land, and yeah, it was just all coming to me, and nobody else had any interest in looking in that direction.
Did you see the beginning of this video when I first started and I was talking about the heirs property?
I did.
So this is you in that discussion,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the the land was passed down traditionally among the tribes on the motherland. It was not passed down on the fatherland. The father was the one who took care of the land, governed the land, and made sure that everything on the land was in good working order so that Big Mama can focus on the daughters and the grandbabies and the nieces and the nephews. You got it from both sides. So you're a Y chromosome daddy girl heir, and you are X chromosome mitochondrial birthright heir.
Oh wow, that's yeah, that's very interesting.
That's what a lot of this stuff that you see going on, and a lot of people don't understand that before you can get back to your original culture, you have to identify who you are. Part of
Mm-hmm.
you identifying who you are is trying to trace your lineage. Trying to trace your lineage is going to take you to a plot of land every time if you're from the land.
It
If you trace,
has.
if you trace your lineage and it start taking you across the water, you ain't from over here.
Right.
But when you trace your lineage and they keep digging you deeper into the south,
That
deeper into where the
I'm in South Carolina.
yeah, it's a lot of it was going on in the Carolinas and Georgia too, and
Yeah.
more than probably the only other place where they had a lot of people passing that mass migrated north was out of Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the ones in Louisiana, they Creole, and you tell them they Caucasian or white, they subject to whoop you.
Good God. Yeah, I didn't know my biological father until I was 18. Um, And when I found out who my biological father was, I had realized because I'm a musician as well. I sing, and I came in. My dad, he bought my first CD, and I didn't even know he was my dad. And I just took pictures with everybody who ended up supporting the song. And whenever I showed up to take the picture with him, there was a family reunion going on, and I ended up taking a picture with everybody who was around him, and I didn't even realize like I was taking a picture with my sister, my brother, my aunt, my dad, and like it was just so divine. So like years later, whenever I was finally told who my dad was, I was like, wow, and he's also a musician, so like it just came through genetically, and yeah, it just
So how long after you had took the picture did you figure out that they was the people in the picture?
um like a year later.
And how did you feel knowing that you had been standing that close to blood family and didn't even know it?
I ain't gonna lie, I felt betrayed. I was like, that's crazy. Like, y'all really played me.
Did your dad know who you was?
Um, I would say yes. He says no.
There's a possibility he didn't know. Because you remember
You
you
can't
hadn't seen
you
them
can't
in
deny this. You can't deny
you,
this. Everywhere I go now, now that people know, everywhere I go,
you
like I have all these
look just
elders,
like
like
your daddy.
people I've never met. They're like, "You gotta be Derek's daughter," and I'm like, "Who are you?" Like, the elders,
They
the
always
elders are
had
like,
that. They always had that sight. That's how. When we used to have a new baby be born, we
mm,
had used to have. You know what they call a baby shower now?
yeah,
They never had them before the baby was born in our culture.
mm,
In our culture, the baby shower was it'd be about 90 old ladies in there from different parts of the family passing that baby around, and they gonna tell you exactly which ancestor they was. This was Uncle Charlie. Remember Uncle Charlie had this mark on his foot right here, the same mark. This Uncle Charlie, girl, you can't tell me this ain't Uncle Charlie. I know Uncle Charlie when I see him. Look at he got the same little slant to his smile. Them old ladies know. They
yes,
they
they
know,
do.
and they don't. They used to didn't miss.
See, and I was trying to ask questions. I tried to ask my grandma because apparently my grandma she sang too, and I'm like, Grandma, I never even heard your music. She was like, Yeah, I used to be in the band with the family. I'm like, Oh yeah, I need to hear that, okay? And she was just like, but when I'm asking about, because I'm trying to figure out which ancestor, and nobody know nothing, and I'm like, but y'all got like photo albums and stuff like that. I'm like, why don't nobody like, not why don't nobody know, but like I can't even say that I won't even figure this out because everything else has come so divinely and I just have to allow it to come through. But I felt like at first I was trying to force it, and then I wasn't finding out anything about my dad's side, and then all this stuff hit from my mom's side, and I was like, oh my god, like this just confirmed everything that I ever heard from Rod. Like y'all, he out here giving these receipts, because when I tell you them family books is not playing, they not playing. Like they very detailed, they're very detailed, and they was giving out land. They was giving out land. They was taking it and they was giving it away.
Yeah, that was when they was replacing us.
It's crazy when I was looking at like all these deeds and land grants. I was just like, that's a lot of land.
Yeah, well, we had a lot. We
I know.
we didn't mind sharing either. It's the problem is that the people we shared with was greedy.
Right.
We not greedy. We don't mind sharing, but we ain't finna share with nobody that's gonna try to take everything.
Right.
Yeah.
I felt that.
So let me tell you a little something about um, old houses. You, your mom called back. You probably had an ancestor probably lived in that house. You know how old the house you
My
live in is,
grandmother.
right? And
My
she's
grandmother,
back.
I had a near death experience in 2015 and I got a feather tattoo. That was my first tattoo. I got it on my stomach. And that's because with my near death experience, I had
Wait, wait. I missed something. Back up. The tattoo. Tell me about the tattoo again.
so um so before I got the tattoo, I had a near death experience.
Hmm.
I crashed an ATV and I had a seatbelt on, so I didn't like fly off or anything, but I had to walk a half a mile bleeding out in like fresh cut forest because I was supervising my uncle while he was cutting down trees for a new development. And um, I wasn't supposed to be on it anyway because I had flip flops on, but it lost control and flipped. And I took my seatbelt off. I turned it off. I got up and I had realized that I broke my ulna, my radius, and I severed my main artery. So my arm was practically dangling. Um, and I had to walk a half a mile, bleeding out, and I blacked out. I felt like something had lifted me. Um, Everything went black. And after a while, I guess, of walking unconsciously, whatever happened, I came back to reality and I was closer to my uncle and I got his attention. He came over and he helped me, but he came, he came to me and it's like he was trying to talk to me over the machine. He couldn't hear me. And he was like, it was like he knew what to do. He came over, he put a tourniquet on me, and he got me to the hospital. All this, just insane stuff was happening. But there were these feathers that my mom said were following me. She said there were feathers in the hospital, there were feathers at the scene, there were all these feathers that were, communicating. And I ended up getting a feather tattoo because I felt like it was my grandma. I felt like my grandma lifted me in that time. When she was living, she was very in tune, and she did a lot with like agriculture. This is my mom's mom. She did a lot with just agricultural land stuff. She did stuff with grants. She was very gifted. She was an artist. She did painting. Um, she was very, very in tune. And like she even went to, she even became, she even became a mother of like this black church. Um, and she was like the only white person in there. And my mom said that she became that for me to support me.
Mhm.
Um, so I was in that church and stuff. And so just to sum it up, I had ended up getting this tattoo to symbolize for my grandma. And then, as I just started doing more digging with spirituality work and stuff, I just saw the connection with the feather and chiefs. And I was just like, oh, maybe I was a chief. I don't know. I don't
Okay,
know.
so let me
I don't
first. I
know.
gotta tell
I
you
don't
this
know.
part. Um, was your mother's mother living when you was born?
She was.
How old was you when she crossed over?
She passed away in 2009.